Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and hook your boy up with a like if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Dominick Cruz joined Matt Serra and I believe Phoenix Carvalho is her name. It was supposed to be Jim Norton, but he was out, so Matt Serra had a replacement co-host. And with that being said, Dominick Cruz joined the show and he pretty much guaranteed us that Cody's going to be showing up to UFC 217 to get his big paycheck, injured back or not. Now, if you remember, Cody Garbrandt was forced out of his fight with TJ Dillashaw. They were supposed to fight at the Ultimate Fighter finale because they did the Ultimate Fighter and they were the coaches. But Cody Garbrandt hurt his back, so he was been forced out of his fight at the Ultimate Fighter finale, and the fight has been rescheduled for UFC 217 Madison Square Garden. One of the 3 title fights of the night. Great fight. One thing I will say is, I do believe Cody Garbrandt will show up. He's got to show up. He's got to show up. He's the fucking... He just became the champion when he beat Dominick Cruz. He already had to pull out of one title fight. If he pulled out of another title fight due to the same injury, wouldn't he get stripped? Like 1 year you pulled out of 2 title fights, never defended your belt. I don't know. I think he would have got stripped anyway if he doesn't make this fight. But Dominick Cruz does make a good point, man. A lot of people, you know, whenever they fall out of cards, usually it's some of the smaller cards. It's pretty rare that a big fight, a big fighter, you know, a star, somebody that's going to be getting pay-per-view points, pulls out of a huge fucking card. Like a Ronda Rousey card or a Conor McGregor card or a Madison Square Garden card. You're not going to see many people pulling out of those fights with injuries. Like, even Ray Borg, a situation like that. Even, you know, fighters will goddamn fight through sickness and injury, all of that to get that Madison Square Garden pay-per-view money, because even if you're just getting pay-per-view like Cody Garbrandt probably is as the champion, if you pass a certain threshold, like Demetrius Johnson, he's got a threshold he has to pass to hit pay-per-view points. If any of these champions have that threshold, which I'm sure more than just Demetrius does, you're going to make that threshold on UFC 215, Madison Square Garden, 217, whatever the hell. If Demetrius Johnson was at Madison Square Garden, he would be getting some pay-per-view points because he's hitting that threshold. It's not about him selling the fight. It's about the rest of the card is fucking stacked. So you get a cut of that money. So Dominick Cruz is just saying, I definitely believe we'll be seeing the fight. Cody Garbrandt's not going to pass on pay-per-view shares at Madison Square Garden, you know, whether his back is injured or not. And he does have a good point, but I honestly don't believe his back is going to be even that much of a problem. If he loses, I'm sure we'll hear about it. Like, oh man, I fucking knocked TJ Dillashaw out in sparring, but man, my back's fucked up, so that's why I lost my title. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, like even Dominick Cruz, you know, going into the fight, when people are going into a fight, they sell it like, no, I'm healthy. But you know, like a couple months after the fight, they'll be like, you know, I said I was healthy, but I wasn't really healthy. Like even Dominick Cruz in his Cody Garbrandt fight, you know, he said, I had just fought like 3 times in a year coming off of an injury, so I think I kind of re-aggravated it. So guys who have lingering injuries, I mean, you do have to worry about them pulling out of fights, but you also got to worry about them making excuses after the fight. I mean, I believe, as I said, I believe Cody Garbrandt is healthy enough for this fight. I mean, we have seen videos of him fucking a while back now, like over a month ago, right, where he was wrestling, he was drunk, like wrestling that one fucking dude, his coach, I don't even know his name. But I mean, there's been some pretty weird videos that came out, or even if they're not weird, I mean, I don't believe Cody Garbrandt's back is going to be that much of a problem by the time UFC 217 gets here. We've still got to go through 2 weeks until UFC 216. Then we probably got another event in between there and UFC 217. So Cody Garbrandt, he's got time to heal up, and I'm sure he's probably already training, right? Madison Square Garden is in about a month and a half. I'm sure he's fucking out here training. So this is interesting. Dominick Cruz did have a lot more stuff to say. He talked about his next fight, like what he's waiting on, and some of the other guys in the division, because you know there's that dark horse, Jimmy Rivera, who beat Uriah Faber. You know, he's coming through. He's trying to beat these top-ranked guys. He wants a title shot. But Dominick Cruz is saying, you know, between me and Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw, we've got some fights to get done. So, you know, these guys, they need to fight a little more. Who was it that was saying that to somebody recently? Tony Ferguson was saying that to like Kevin Lee. And like, you know, you gotta prove yourself a little more before you want to fight with me. And it's like, I don't know, man. If nobody else is active and there's no other fights available, that's the fight that's gonna happen. That's what happened with Kevin Lee. Now look at this: T.J. Dillashaw versus Demetrius Johnson. I mean, T.J. Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. Who guarantees that the winner fights Dominick Cruz next? How do you know they don't go fight Demetrius Johnson? So is Dominick Cruz still gonna wait? After UFC 217, the Ultimate Fighter finale, they pulled out of that. Dominick Cruz is still waiting. Then we're gonna go all the way to 217. The winner of that might have some injuries, and then after they heal up from those injuries, they might want to fight Demetrius Johnson for a super fight. So what is Dominick Cruz gonna do in the meantime? If Cody Garbrandt loses to T.J. Dillashaw, maybe Dominick Cruz can fight T.J. Dillashaw for, like, you know, #1 contender fight. But then what about Jimmy Rivera? If Cody Garbrandt wins, is Dominick Cruz going to want to rematch T.J.? I mean, I don't even think that's the fight to make. So it's very interesting to see what goes on in this bantamweight division after UFC 217, Cody Garbrandt versus T.J. Dillashaw. And it's especially interesting to see what Dominick Cruz does next in his career, because he is a Fox analyst. He could just retire and do that. You know, he does have a job outside of fighting, but he's sounding like he wants to reclaim his title, or at least try one more time. I don't want to see Dominick Cruz come out here and lose, you know, like I say about a lot of these guys. I don't want to see him go out like Anderson Silva is. You know, on like a 4-fight losing streak, you got to get a questionable ass split decision victory. Like, I just don't want to see that happen to some of the best guys in the sport. I mean, it can happen, go out on your shield, whatever the fuck, but Dominick Cruz, like he even says, with all the injuries he's accrued throughout his career, there's even still aggravating him. If he becomes an active fighter, he's gonna have to, you know, take time off after 3 fights. If he fights 3 times in a year, he'll probably have to take the next year off. You know what I'm saying? So he's probably still only gonna average 2 fights a year. He might fight 3 times this year and 1 time next year. He might fight 2 times this year, 2 times next year, which is decent. But I mean, as a UFC fan, I do like to see the champions or title contenders, you know, doing it more than that, especially a champion. Because if you've got a champion that you know is dealing with injury issues and you know they're not going to be very active, it just kind of leaves divisions in limbos, and we've seen that so fucking much lately. 185 was stuck for a while, 170 was stuck for a while, 155 stuck, 135 right now stuck. Like, holy fuck, whenever they go to make these super fights, it just sticks the division, because people like Luke Rockhold or people like Jimmy Rivera, they feel like, hey, I fucking deserve a title shot. I will, or even fucking Tony Ferguson, I deserve a title shot. Well, what's the point of keep fighting these #1 contenders? Anybody can win these fights in MMA. Whoever the better man is that night. Why am I gonna risk my title shot when I know even if I win this fight, I'm still waiting on a title shot? So if I just wait, I'm waiting on a title shot. Or I could fight somebody and possibly lose my title shot. I'm not gonna win anything extra but some money. But at this point, these guys are wanting that title because the title means the most money. So one paycheck, just taking one fight, like if Tony Ferguson just wanted to fight Edson Barboza or Michael Johnson for the fuck of it with no on the line right now, he knows he earned a title shot, but hey, Michael Johnson wants to fight you. It's like, okay, I could fight Michael Johnson, and if I win, I make what, 35 to show up, 35 to win. Or I could wait on my title shot, and if I win that fight, I'm gonna start making $1 million for a fucking title fight, because I'm gonna be fighting on big cards. I'm gonna get pay-per-view shares. I'm gonna get championship pay. So the belt means too much for these guys to just fucking keep shuffling when they feel like they're at the top of the deck. So whenever somebody works their way to the top, like Tony Ferguson or Jimmy Rivera, they're just gonna sit still. As much as we want to see them fight, they're gonna sit there and wait on that title shot they feel like they fucking earned. So that's just a situation that goes on with people like Dominick Cruz as well. I mean, he feels like he wants, and with Dominick Cruz it gets a little weirder, because he didn't even want the immediate title shot. He wanted the winner of the next title shot. So Cody Garbrandt, after he beat Dominick Cruz, said, hey, Dominick Cruz, you want your immediate rematch? Dominick Cruz was like, no, fight TJ, then me. It's not like, yeah, I want my fucking fight right now for the title. It's like, no, I want you to fight him and then fight me. And it's like so much stuff can happen in between there. If he fights him and then decides to fight someone else, you're waiting. Then we got Jimmy Rivera just waiting. Oh God, you see, the fucking divisions getting tied up is not a good thing to me. It's kind of annoying when it happens, but at the same time, in Tony Ferguson's case or in Jimmy Rivera's case, I understand where they're coming from. Dominick Cruz, it's a little harder for me to understand just because, you know, he was offered the immediate rematch and he was like, no, let's go ahead and let TJ get a shot and then come back and fight me. But we already know TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt want a super fight next. They want a fucking Demetrius Johnson super fight next, both of them, TJ or Cody. Whoever wins, they want to fight Demetrius Johnson soon for the super fight. So the Dominick Cruz, I just don't understand really, I mean, what he's gonna do, but that's not what this video is about. It's more about the fact that Dominick Cruz is just guaranteeing that Cody Garbrandt shows up to UFC 217. We don't have to worry about his back injury because he's showing up for that fucking paycheck. He's getting a huge paycheck at UFC 217. So with that being said, it is what it is. I can't fucking wait. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments. I'm out.